Within your symbols that you use, the symbols that you use to put what you call words together, which really are equations, there's math. There is math. There isn't words. Okay? So this is how we can still have this. And this is how we can have it work for us, because in fact, there's geometry and there's a way to see invisible flows or entire structures that you can't really, you can't hold it in your hands, but it's in the English alphabet, capitalized. Mainly what we're looking at is the vowels are to remain in capitalization. This is to keep into your perception what rules over matter, which is the non-physical frequency, and the vowels point at the flows and the vibrational frequencies, the invisible part of our reality, that we just couldn't understand it unless it was here. Like the U shape. The U is actually, like I say, is a U shape. It's a shape. These aren't letters. Although, thank you for the sentiment. Yes, let her. But these are symbols. And you're not looking at words, although the alternative seems to be an amazing pacifier for every mind to just start sucking on it and forget about reality, forget about God. Forget about that. None of that is real. Your mouth noising, it's there's something to it. We have yet to figure it out. I think singing is more it, vibrational frequencies through singing. And I was given a glimpse of that possibility of creatures within their creation. All they do is sing. There isn't anything else to do. It's just a celebration. It's a celebration of. It's just, if you knew the word what celebration means, um, the ones who are centered in a field of information that know something, say like, I make tortillas. I could definitely sing how to make the tortillas. Um, we live in a world that has already we've labeled all this stuff, and it's possible to learn through it, right? We know what flour is. Not really. You have to have an experience with the powder, otherwise you think that I just set a flower out there in the meadow. So I already made my tortilla making video. I got off the subject matter of just what I really wanted to say seriously. What needs to reconnect and what can reconnect into the human perception is the fact of reality, how the simple math, even though, um, see, we say things, we have a math that we can decipher everything and just go back to the basics and say, look, what happened to this experience? Why isn't it starting from here? And how could it be this if we don't even have Earth that we're working with? You know what I mean? Kind of a thing. And what I said there in code language, like if you really knew what I said, because nobody knows what the shape of the Earth is, or where it's coming from and how and what. But what I found, the math inside of our language, if you start decoding and using the upper cases, and you need to discard a lot of shit. It's called babble. What I found is that they're pointing right at the science that we are. We have a third eye. There's an eye inside of the alphabet that has it's a symbol of one person, but then their eye is on. There's a dot. The J also has that too, but we can consider the jumping part. This is, I don't know everything, but I know enough and I see enough that it's like, this is absolutely 100% real. This is God. There is an intention here behind the English alphabet, and why that the whole entire Earth's population would be required to learn it. And to me, it just has to do, obviously, like with advancement into evolution. As far as what I understand, where we are is we think we're very separate. We think we come out of cave, and really now what I think has happened is we are being sent aids from outer space, even if it comes in the form of somebody that says, by the way, I came from heaven, assholes. Bye. No time left for you. And that didn't happen. Like, as far as Jesus, we don't know history. And I think it's fascinating that people really think they know, and it's because they listen to somebody else tell them. We don't know, but we can shore it up. Come on, right now. Who really knows? You won't see very many of us. I'm peeking my head here. I live very sheltered in the mountains. I understand why you isolate away from the world, and many of the people who have just gone mad, they are trying to make sense of something that they have not even asked a question about. And there is a system, like I said in my other video here, the truth system, the earth, the cosmos, God's creation. That's the program here, babes. But then we have an overlay of the world, created of the word. And yeah, you hear me. God doesn't appreciate you creating that Antichrist. As far as, did you know that, what is a word? It's math. You have to look at it as math. If you're not talking about math, you're not talking about anything. If you're not talking math, you're not talking anything. Now, we can start giving you an example of just the lower base wasteland. Like, if you don't say something right, like a foreigner will say, it's like, well, they're just a foreigner. They don't know that it's said a certain way. And some people say it more of the right way. Like in Mexico, Mexicans tend to say, the light, turn it on. To me, that's really the right way you're supposed to say things. Things are reversed and we drag things out, and it's now we're moving backwards in time and we're never going to move forward. It's not turn on. I'm supposed to know what you mean, what turn on. I have to say, hang on now. Turn on what? The light. Period. When it's like, you can say the light. People look at the light. Now what? Turn it on. Pop. You got it. You know what I'm saying? The math, according to the I am, which is I'm an Aries rising, and thank God that I'm here, letting you know. Well, what about the right math? A lot of people don't get it. When you talk about awareness, okay, let's talk about consciousness. Okay, I'm not talking about the alertness of when your lights are on and you haven't and you didn't go to sleep. People, there's two types of consciousness. Did you get hit by a 2x4 and now are you unconscious? When you're talking about something divine, like of there's creation of creation. Now you're referring to that, because this is what science says is, well, it's consciousness. Where does it come out of? Nobody talks about this, and I don't, only a few. It comes out of unconsciousness. That's the math. Okay, you don't have consciousness first, and all of a sudden things went unconscious. No. Now what I'm talking about is the unconscious mind, and the way that you label this, because you have the human mind that can be rendered unconscious with an ejection, or just repeat something enough to them, which it's not bad to be rendered into an alpha brainwave state, by some meditation, to just say something all day. Our Father who art in, guess what, man? I figured out that prayer. That prayer, the Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. It's pointing right out. Listen, I understand your nature. And this is the only way we bring it down to earth here, as far as the kingdom, which is already here. This is how we've done it. We've always done it. Hallowed be thy name. What does that mean? There's nothing in it. You can't change these fucking words. I know what hallowed means. Hallowed be thy name. That means nothing in your name. Our Father who is the creator, who is an artist in heaven. Father is the only thing we can know, really. I mean, Father, let's look at it. It's the one who's eating the best because he's strong enough to. He knows how to hunt. And this was one of the things I didn't enjoy during 11 minutes. But you're not supposed to have that kind of mind or senses that says, well, this is just because I don't enjoy it doesn't mean it's not the holy truth. One of the things you have to bear is that God eats. And I will show you the shape that, it's not a human that goes, thank you. It can be, because we have that same shape within us. And it should be. To tell you the truth, we should know what to eat, when to eat, how to eat, where to eat, and why to eat. It's the same as when to kill, why to kill, what to kill, how to kill, where to kill. Because that's the same as living in the garden. If you're a really good gardener, you're active and aware, a war. Always, 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 always. You're not just going like this and then one day you pull out a bucket and you go spray some things and then you put the bucket down and then you go and walk away and go over there to the fucking circus. No. When you're aware, every day it's equilibrium, every day, every hour, every minute, every second in the garden. That's really the passion behind any of the manifest going on that we maintain here as far as bringing the kingdom down. And you surrender. You surrender your name. Hallowed be thy name. Why? Because it will be done. The kingdom comes. As it is in EA. EA has it also too. It's the same music, but there's more energy up here. Down here, we're going to hear it and we're going to eat it. With God, we are little bitty miniature mouths saying, yes, this is the way. This was good for us. This was good for us. If it's not good, if it's not wholesome, if it's not sweet, like, right now I was tripping out on the ecology that we have to save us, all poisoned. Unless you know how to purify your water and you know how to fast and eat the things that will purify you instead of get you sick. I'm experiencing it right now. It's like, okay, so I've eaten enough of this stuff from the health center. I'm just settling. You don't settle. Find out, I'm doing this extreme things. Like I'm on a nettles diet. I've eaten a lot of nettles every day this is like my day 4 or 5 of doing just nettles. More and more you do it, the more you get habituated to it. It's much better for you. I swear by the nettle tea. Drink that nettle tea, man. I miss it. It's kind of sweet, and it's like I'm missing something. You got to have it every day. It's really good for you. Really good. It counteracts the shit that I'm fucking eating from the fucking health center, which is, don't eat peanut butter. Never eat the jarred stuff on the shelves that they're selling inside the markets. You gotta find out. Taurus right now is gonna start shaking our asses. The earth might shake all that shit off the shelves and say, you know what? Learn how to live, people, because this is not food anymore. You're not living on the real resonance, which is, I would say earth, but it's EA. Do you know how to make your own music? You don't even know what music was here for and what happened to it. You don't know what happened. And thank God for people like me that I'm nearing 50 years old, and I'm going to stay in radiation and say, and yeah, watch this. It's going to be a while still. It's going to be a long while, but we are safe. We are staying safe. And we're not of this world, so we're not going to be so attached that it's like, this eclipse thing. We can see what it's going to, we have a worst case scenario coming up, and some people just float on that because they know they have already been making their nettle tea and they've already fasted and they don't rely so much. Like, you take some of these fixtures away. I admit I went through a lot with my communications. Being cut off and getting away from the social media thing. It's to listen to the cosmos. There's two things happening. They want control of your mind. They want control of your antenna. They don't want you to know anything of. See, the big thing is, are aliens going to contact us? I mean, what are we? is this finally going to pay off that what we're doing in outer space? What do you think we're doing out there? They don't want us to know, and they're catching souls. They have a fucking soul net, you know? It's much more than just the physical world. We are interdimensional beings. And I know that I live in another dimension. On this earth, even somewhere else. I'm in another time. I saw some shit and it's like, oh, okay. And I'm still contemplating, I'm still staying open. It's like, okay, but and so, these embodiments that we're in now, I have this skeleton. Here, let me put my skeleton together like this. Let me go like this. Yes, I have this skeleton. What do you think it is now? It's like a fucking oceanic amoeba. It's interesting. It's one of the most interesting pieces of machinery that has ever helped render out a realm, an REA, reality, or Earth, ear, the era, or just a year. It just takes one ear. Anyway, just one, and to keep all the kingdom in alignment. It's about vibrational frequency alignment, and if you're keeping a foundation that is connected to the cosmos, then a lot of the world and the abracadabra, which is the word that controls the people into a mode of creating and manifesting, that's like, okay, how long has that been going on? We have something that could be a lot more different. Let's just say it that way. And we see that it was different. Now that I look at the statues that are built all around, how they say, God, would you just look at the math? Look at the math behind all of this Sphinx sitting in front of the pyramid. It's just so perfect. I mean, and look at the Indians. Okay, it's obvious that India, they were the first one doing terraforming through um, they call it 3D printing, but they were using whole mountainsides, melting down rocks and then forming this through computerization. Somehow they were terraforming through. We don't know this massive machinery is now levitating. It's gone. It's somewhere else doing a beautiful job. We live in a paper cup. A fucking hellhole, a prison house that says, now we can set them on fire. It's just a huge experiment. And it's like, watch out, babes, because the cosmos and the woman behind it, and I'm telling you a woman because we hear a lot of it now. I see it. It's, I'll say she's a black woman, but really what I mean is it's this space pitch. It's the space that all of a sudden she's creating everything out of it, out of her vagina. It's just like the middle. You get the V. You can see these shapes coming out of the hole. You have a black hole. There's I'll look at it, the Taurus symbol, the circle, and then in the middle is very provocative stuff, by the way. You don't want to talk about not even half of it, especially don't talk about the other half of it, not the woman part. But let's get back to the math. Okay, if you knew math and you would look at the beauty of the equations when they put together, they put the wave energy right next to the hole, goes through, and then there's another wave, man, wool, man, and then there's a structure, and then there's some neurons. Anything's possible from there. It's not set in stone as far as that N at the end. The N is a half a wave. It says it's just a neurological development. Now what? Well, it says that this is what is responsible for all fucking creation. As far as not saying, no, I'm not saying, yeah, no, we put it together with our two thumbs. No, you are just an apparatus, one with the universe, and the way that it's all happening. Guess what? You can simply know it by realizing that these aren't words. Bring it up, practice the decoding system. It took 19 minutes to say, fucking, who knows what I'm getting at, right? But some of you that know me personally know this thing that I've been kind of dabbling in, and some of you are hooked. You know for sure that I'm onto something, because you're smart enough. You have gone beyond, somehow your mind has just clicked into the simplicity. But no, I could be the only one in the Western Hemisphere that understands what it's pointing at. And we already have the language here. This is why it's very easy to know. We are one with the universe. Okay? Now, there's some way that this is working scientifically, simply. Well, the equations are here set up, and so is the math. Not the words, hun. Not the words, okay? Not words. Math! Equations. And we don't just work with numbers. Numbers are dealing with the quantity of things. Now, what about the flow? What about the flow and ebbs and the creation of stuff that we even get a quantity of? It's not just numbers. Math stems into English alphabetry, or whatever the fuck you call the symbols. I'm not going to say letters ever again. I'm not going to call it language, because there is where you're getting linga, double fork the tongue. Now what? Well, yes, it's amazing, but you can see shapes. You can see shapes, man. You can feel the shapes better than you can feel a letter or a number. What, you can't even feel a number, but a letter. But what about a symbol? It's a shape. You can kind of feel it. Now feel the letter O. That's just a stick figure. I'm going to show you a letter O on Facebook. I'm going to show you a letter O on this right here. Do you see it? There. I'm going to put a video of it right there. There it is. Click on that video and you will learn about the basic O. Pi.